Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tayyib. I had another question on the NGL. Not gonna lie, if you want to ask me an anonymous question, make sure you're following me on Instagram, Mahdi Method. I put the link up there every now and then for you guys to open your hearts out and ask me questions that you really want answered but that you feel too shy to ask perhaps. And the question was, should I get married to one woman before talking to others, or continue to talk to other women whilst committing to one? And from what I understand from this poorly worded question, the brother wants to know, should he be exclusive when in conversations with a sister for the purpose of marriage, or should he continue to keep his options open whilst talking to a sister before the purpose of marriage? And I'm assuming he wants to be polygynous at some point after. So the fact that he's saying that he would consider talking to more women post-marriage indicates to me that he has polygynous aspirations. So let's get into it. So whenever I'm asked this question in my private community, and you can find details for that in the description, I always respond with the same answer, which is, when you're talking to a sister for the purpose of marriage, until it's done, it's not done. Do not go exclusive in talking to just one sister until you have signed on the dotted line. And the reason is a psychological and emotional one. And that is, as it is, the everyday man has very few options when it comes to dealing with women. So when he does finally get one sister who's actually interested in marrying him, he gets bare gassed. But he starts pinning all his hopes on her. This can put him in an extremely needy position. Listen, I deal with women all the time. I can tell you the most basic Bushra you can think of has blue tick brothers in her DM. It's wild out here. It's crazy. The most average sister, divorced multiple times, millions of children, blue tick brothers, promising the world in her DM. Meaning, she by default is operating from a psychological position of abundance because she actually has abundance, whereas you are automatically operating from a position of scarcity because for the average everyday man, his options are scarce, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So I say to you, firstly and foremostly, is that when you're talking to a sister, even if the conversations are beginning to advance, for the sake of expediting the process of actually marrying that woman, even if conversations are going well, continue to consider other sisters and talk to them. Why? Because women generally get put off very easily and very quickly, and the moment you display too much neediness in emotion in the way that you communicate and discuss, and you're texting all the time and whatnot, and you're doing this because you don't have much else going on in your life, that's when she is very likely to get put off by you. And let's just go down that path for a moment. You don't have much else going on in your life. Truth is, you shouldn't be wasting your time just talking to bare gal all day long. I'm offering you a panacea that actually is not the best panacea. It will help. The very best panacea solution to this problem of becoming needy with a woman when you're talking to her is to devote yourself to your mission. Now, I understand most men have not yet found their mission, and therefore it's very difficult for a man to devote himself to his higher cause when he's working a 9 to 5 in Walmart or Asda. You get me? And I say to that man, get busy anyway. Work on the cringe buzzword that I hate so much, self-improvement. Read books, learn the Quran, improve your knowledge of the religion, go to the gym, get in exceptional shape. Busy yourself with productive endeavors that take you away from the phone, that take you away from thinking about that one sister who swiped right with you and said Salaam alaikum to you on Muz with a little X or whatever. Now, I know the sisters hearing this will not like it. They will be infuriated, furious. But to those sisters, I say to you, you're already doing this. You're just doing it naturally without thinking about it. Maybe even you feel bad about doing it, but you are doing it. And you are psychologically operating from a position of abundance because you do have an abundance of options to choose from. And that is why you've become so fussy. I, gentlemen, am trying to level the playing field for you. I'm trying to level the playing field for you so that you can operate on a more even par. Almost a decade ago, when I myself was talking to a sister for the purpose of marriage, she was going to be my third wife at that time. We were in negotiations, and the conversation went on for far too long. I've gone through this story in the past. I was completely catfished. Talking around 10 years ago now. I had 2 wives at the time, and she was interested in becoming my third. And there would be moments when we would converse on text when she would go ghost for hours and sometimes even days. And I naturally would become very upset with this. Why have you taken so long to respond? I sent you that message 3 days ago. And we should not have, the conversation should not have extended as long as it did, but there were issues with the family to try and make this marriage happen. And this is what happens, families, by the way, when you delay marriage for no good reason, you open the door to haram. Thankfully, we didn't fall into any haram. We didn't even meet each other for that matter. But the point of the matter is, conversation extended on too long, far longer than it should have anyway. she would go ghost for hours and sometimes days whenever we were talking, and then just suddenly pop back up out of nowhere like nothing had happened. And I would become extremely suspicious of this. It later transpired, and I found out long after I had called the whole thing off, that actually during those moments when she had gone ghost, it's because she was considering another brother at the exact same time. Which, in fairness to her, like, if I was to be objective about it, she was going to come in as a third wife. She had no obligation to me per se, other than whatever we had agreed on a text. Now, you could argue, because once a woman is spoken for, Islamically, you're not allowed to approach her, even if she's not yet married. But regardless, if we are to deal with this from a human nature perspective, how humans operate, everyone's trying to get the best deal for themselves. And I get it. It's not personal. Every man and woman is trying to get the best deal for themselves, and that's exactly what she was doing. And as much of a catch as she would have thought that I am, and I am, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, she was still coming in as a third wife. Not ideal. And she was in conversation, later transpired that I found out, she was considering the approaches and advances of another brother whom she would have been his first wife. The point and lesson of this story that I'm sharing with you is that if the woman you're talking to has gone ghost, it's likely because of one of two reasons. Either she has other individuals that are more interesting to her, options that she's considering and whom she's currently talking to, or she's just not that into you, bro. She's just not that interested in you, and that's okay. It's painful, but do you know what's more painful? What's more painful is longing out that process of begging for her attention and not getting any of it. That's infinitely more painful than just accepting for whatever reason she don't like me, and that's okay, bruv. We keep it pushing, we keep it moving. And for that matter, if you want to know how to become what I would call a bint magnet, bint means daughter of, by the way. And I can't tell you how many times I have been asked, how do I improve my attractiveness to women and to sisters? How do I expedite this process of finding me a wife? Mahdi, please tell me. You have many wives. You are extremely successful with the sisters. You have women literally begging you to be your fourth wife. How do I become like this, Mahdi? Watch this video right here.